I'm good off.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Credits and Chords. I am your host, Practical. I'm joined by the fellas.
Danny boy.
It's Rex.
Hey, what's happening? It's Brandon, and we're talking to one of my favorite guys today.
We are. We're talking American director William Friedkin. He's an American filmmaker, screenwriter, producer, writer, you name it. Widely known as the director for The French Connection and The Exorcist. French Connection he won a number of awards for and was nominated again down the line for The Exorcist. Today we're going to be talking The French Connection. We're going to be talking Cruising, To Live and Die in L.A., Sorcerer, and one of his more recent films, Killer Joe. Brandon chose this director. Each of us kind of go back and forth each month and choose our topics for that month. And I will kick this episode off by saying I agree with Rex earlier when he said he enjoyed Wim Wenders a little bit more than William Friedkin. I agree with that. Not because I dislike William Friedkin. I'm actually a big fan of his. But I did kind of find some of these movies less interesting than others. So let's talk about his themes, though, and tell me how you guys feel about him before we get into that. So how about you, Danny? How did William Friedkin grab you?
You're so wrong. No, it's all right.
Friedkin.
Everybody's got an opinion. It's fine. No, I enjoyed this more than Wim Wenders. These movies were really... I'm not going to take the word from Brandon yet because I know he's going to want to say it. So they're pretty, like gritty, I guess you could say.
It's a good word too.
He's got a good way of, having a protagonist be kind of someone that's not really likable. It really shows in like Sorcerer. You got these 4 different guys all coming from troubled pasts and fucked up situations where they're trying to hide. And they all kind of get sent to this same place, and ultimately they have to work together to get a common goal or whatnot, but we'll get into that movie. But no, it's very just like, I don't know. It feels pretty raw. It's the camera work alone really gets you more involved in these movies. I felt like, going back to what we were saying about Wim Wenders, that's more artsy. I think we were saying that earlier, versus this is more, like gritty. I'm trying so hard not to say the word, Brandon.
It's grimy. They're grimy. They're grimy
there you
people.
go. I wanted you to say it first.
Can say it.
Yes, no, super, super grimy. Just like, I don't know. I liked all the characters pretty much in all of these movies. Even though in, a lot of these, there's not a lot of dialogue being, handed out or whatnot, but I feel like you kind of get a sense of who the characters are. They kind of set their own kind of stories off to the side, especially in that movie Sorcerer. But no, dude, these movies were great. I need to watch some more of Mr. Friedkin. That's a shout.
I just want to intervene and say fuck you, because I can't be wrong that I prefer a different director to this one. So go fuck yourself.
I said it was your opinion. That's fine. Relax.
Hey, I just wanted to say fuck you. That's all.
Hey, sometimes, you gotta.
All right, Rex, hit us with it. I know you've got some things to say.
Again, I'm upset that Sorcerer didn't have any sorcerers in it. I don't ever read anything about these movies we watch if I've never seen them. I like to just go in kind of blind. My mistake.
I'll
Because I was like...
I have a question for you when we talk about that movie then. I do.
Okay.
I actually do have a question. Before you know what the meaning of that title is, I have a question for you. Yeah. But anyway, continue. Sorry, I interrupted you.
There was no sorcerers in this movie. Just so you guys know, anybody who hasn't seen it, if you think there might be, I was like a 70s sorcerer movie. This is going to be sweet. I was very wrong. Very wrong. Very wrong. But that's nothing against this guy. He's definitely a gritty kind of director. Everything's dirty in his movies all the time. Like, you're in New York. I'm thinking maybe every movie. Almost here, or LA, one of them, but New York is the French
Killer
Connection.
Joe's very redneck area.
I think it was.
Well, yeah,
I don't
that
think
movie's
you say-
obviously in Alabama or something, but no, either way, everything's always dirty. Like LA, they always, To Live and Die in LA, it just seemed like they showed only the dirty part. Same with New York and the French Connection. It just seemed like in the way everybody is. Also, I don't understand why Gene Hackman was so wild
That's
in the
Gene,
French
man.
Connection. Like,
he's got a wild
that
card.
oh man, like he's also very like
He's a
just
badass.
just all over the place. It was sweet, but yeah. So this guy, Wim Wenders, I did enjoy a bit more. That's all I really got to say about that.
Oh, that's cool. No. These are my first picks, so it's nice to know, kind of like gauge what you're gonna feel about my picks, because they're definitely only gonna get weirder.
Great. Can't wait.
But I love William Friedkin. If you're done talking about him, Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the themes of the 5 films I picked. Like I said earlier, and Danny was trying to circle around saying that these are grimy. The characters are grimy. Rex, you nailed it. Like everywhere they go is dirty, and I think that all like serves a purpose in every movie. You know, like they're not stories of good, clean people. They're stories about bad, filthy people. You know. And even the good ones, you know, go bad in most cases in these movies. And I kind of just like that. I mean, I know that's kind of dark, but I like those kinds of stories. They're interesting to me. That kind of humanist, and the way he shoots is very, you know, kind of, it's in there, like you're almost part of the action, especially that iconic car chase from French Connection, when, you know, you're literally on the fucking bumper of that vehicle, you know, and like that's all of these movies. You're in there, and I think the location filming adds to that, because he does a lot of, oh, we need a downtown street in New York. Well, let's go to a downtown street in New York and film it. Then that's what's so cool about him too, is the on location filming, you know, for better or worse in some cases. I mean, the South American jungle probably sucked to film in, but yeah, that's he's sweet, and I like his versatility as well. Like a lot of these are more noirish kind of types of movies, but he does different stuff. Like he's done horror and he's done drama, and he's cool. He's good. He's a great filmmaker.
Absolutely, and I enjoy him as well. The only reason he was even compared to Wim Wenders is just because, you know, that was your first director pick of the
for sure
of the deal. So comparing apples to oranges, really, they're really not similar in any ways. But one thing I really like about Friedkin is, yeah, there's nothing in any of his stories that's overly polished, or, you know, you're not, you know, as much as you may want good things to happen, you know goddamn well from what you're watching, there's no good things that are going to happen.
It's like take it or leave it, you know?
Yeah, and it kind of supports a kind of realism, you know, that kind of, if you look back at your actual life, that's usually how shit goes. I mean, some good things happen, but most of the time shit's going to go wrong. And these movies are about that, but on a bigger scale. So, yeah. You got something to say? You want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just giving you room to talk if you wanted to say. And, you know, what I take away from these movies for the most part is kind of what you said, the noir thing, which is I'm a sucker for. So it's no secret that the more noirish movies on this list are higher on my list. French Connection being one of them. I saw that movie really early on. That and The Exorcist were my first, you know, real exposure to Friedkin. And I will say, and I told Rex that I was going to say this, I would like to set the tone for the rest of the episode with my opinion that I don't personally find any of these movies as good as The Exorcist.
I think one of all of these movies are better than The Exorcist.
See, I knew you were going to say that, so that's why I was curious, because you rated a couple of these movies 3.5 stars, but you rated The Exorcist 4 stars.
No, so, I rated all. I mean, I think I rated everything 4 or 5.
No, I definitely saw some 3.5s because I looked yours up. I could be wrong, but pretty sure I looked them up.
Fact checker.
Yeah.
No, I think Cruising. I rated 3.5 originally, but when I watched it this time, I put it at 4. And I think that was the same for Killer Joe. Actually,
yeah, you did the extra half star because you watched it with me.
What? Say that?
You did the extra half star because you watched it with me,
Well,
and I was probably adding my commentary like I usually do. When
well,
I
I just
movies.
watching it under a different light. I mean, I think I saw it for the first time only even recently, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But a lot of shit has changed in the world, I guess, in 3 or 4 years. So I guess every time you watch that, it's just like, man, shit's crazy.
No, I get you. And that happens to me too, so I can't slight you for that. But I remember looking, being like, "What? You gave Exorcist a higher rating
How about
than
you
some
stop
of these
stalking
movies?"
my letterbox,
Yeah,
homie?
what the heck?
Gotta
Bitch,
keep
when you
tabs.
type in a movie, it shows who's
No,
watched
I know.
the
I'm just
film.
giving you a hard time.
He's
I
not. Dude.
fucking
He's looking
kill you,
through your
dude.
whole list, bro. That's weird.
I'll kill the three of you. All right, well, let's talk about the themes of William Friedkin and the things that he usually does in his films. Kick us off there, Danny. I'm sure you got plenty to say.
Noir, man. I wish they made movies more like this with that feel, of like being on the beat with a cop or, running around with, an escaped convict or someone that's, in trouble, which is essentially a lot of these movies that we watch. But I just like the feeling that you get of watching it. You're getting kind of nervous and there's a lot of tension, especially in, French Connection. Like, dude, when he was chasing that train in the car and just like,
That was crazy.
like what a psychopath. But he had to get his guy, And then also in that movie, then when they kept jumping back and forth off of the train, that was so funny. But there's a lot of tension too. So he's really good at portraying that and really getting you kind of nervous a little bit. You're like, oh God, but yeah, I feel like the noir thing is what really stands out with, especially all these movies we saw. To Live and Die in LA, like, man, they just have to make movies more like that now. I wish they would.
We
You
have
just
the
really
car
don't
chase
see
in
that.
it too.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And just like the character building in that, like, adds to the whole storyline and whatnot, and super graphic too. Like, man, what's up with him? Like with the anytime somebody gets shot in the head, it's just some guy standing behind the camera with just like a paint gun, just like hitting him in the face because it happens so quick, and the editing is done pretty well, but like it made me laugh.
Oh,
Like,
dude, the
like
violence
2 or
in
3
all
of
of
these
his
movies,
is so real. Like the car
Exactly.
crash in Sorcerer, the
Oh,
voice
dude,
shard he gets in.
and that messed me up, dude. When that guy got yoked out of the car, dude, just like, I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I feel like nowadays if you tried to do that, someone would be upset. So,
That's not true. Movies are
Super
more
real.
violent than ever. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm just
Yeah, that's a little bit of a statement there, man.
Just
Old
saying,
man
man.
yelling
I'm
at a
just
cloud.
saying.
Jesus Christ.
I think I
You're older
get
than me. Shut up.
I get what he means though. Cinema, while there is more graphic violence in movies, it's not really in the mainstream stuff most of the time. And these were like the bigger movies of the time. French Connection especially. That movie was a huge fucking deal, and it's pretty violent. To Live and Die in LA was also a pretty big deal, and it's pretty fucking violent. So it's like that was a lot more accepted from the general public than it is now, where like everything is kind of, it's like Terrifier exists nowadays, and that couldn't have existed 20 years ago. But it's
hell
horror.
no.
I saw that in
Horror and
theater.
it's niche.
and it was
Yeah.
Horror
packed.
is one of the biggest genres on the planet. If you want to make money, you make a horror movie. Like it's not difficult, I guess.
I don't know. I think action movies and shit like that nowadays are a little bit tamer, but it's in a different way. Like it's like they're not afraid to be violent, but they're still not as violent in a real way, I guess is the way
No, and
I see what Dan's saying.
I will see that like the violence in these movies is more real for sure, even though the blood is bright red because it's 70s blood.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, I get where he's coming from in that regard. Like, I don't think he's entirely wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of the things that lends to The Exorcist also is the realism of his movies. The Exorcism I think was so scary for its time because it felt so real. Because apparently demons can possess people, and that's a real thing.
Hey, man, I saw the Pope's Exorcist. It's real, okay?
All right, Rex, well, what about you? How do you feel about the themes you saw in these movies, cruising included?
Outside of Sorcerer, I feel like most of them were kind of like no one is a good guy. Like there is a bad guy in the movies and like a bad person, I guess, but the guy on the other side is just as bad. Like it's really kind of just a point of view, I feel like, of what you're seeing and where you're siding. Like if you would have followed the other guy, would it have been as bad? I mean, maybe if you were Willem Dafoe in To Live and Die in LA, but then flip over to Gene Hackman in The French Connection and he's psychotic. That dude is psychotic. Like he's an alcoholic, psychotic dude bent out to get all that. And actually that scene you talked about going back and forth for the train, that is part of the reason it also got so low, because I thought that scene was stupid.
What?
Maybe I didn't get
Hell
it,
no.
but I was like,
you did not get it.
no, because I'm like, so this guy is supposed to be undercover following him, but he's jumping in and out on the train when the other guy's purposely doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was built
But
up
to Gene
tension.
Hackman, was he just in such a fervor he didn't understand that he was being toyed with? I don't know. It just seemed like
I think he was just trying to cover his steps, but at the same time, yeah, he had to have known that this guy knew that he was behind him.
I'm gonna walk up to the same stand he was. I'm gonna get an apple, even though I asked for a grape drink. All of a sudden, I'm back in the car with you. You're out. I'm in. You're out. I'm in. I'm in with you. We're out. You're out. I didn't like it. But besides that, I do like, and I don't know all the actual themes, like what he said about some of these movies, but it just seems like there is never a good guy. It's always just all bad people. All bad people doing shitty things for their ideology of what they think is right. Or, some of them not. Willem Dafoe, I don't know what the fuck his thing was, but he was sick.
Burning his pictures.
Dude, some of the shit he did.
I mean, he likes fire, that's for sure.
He like beating people up too. He's very small but menacing to people. Like, I
Dude,
need
he's
my money.
Swooped when
I
he was
need my money.
confronting those black guys. Yeah, dude,
Yeah, but it's two black dudes like they're bigger than him. He's like looking up.
Yeah.
Right?
It wasn't
Dafoe
a
is
fair
a great
fight.
villain, and he should be a
Yeah, he
villain.
is.
I mean, I feel like he's a villain kind of a lot. Not recently, but he should be a villain more often.
You don't like my lobster? So I think he was
the
great.
ultimate villain.
I think he was great, but no, these movies were cool and all. And like I said, To Live and Die in LA felt Scorsese liked me, but I don't know who came first because
Scorsese
just what it felt.
for sure.
He was first. Well, the ending of that
I
one
think
felt
Friedkin,
very.
I mean, I think they both came around the same time,
Probably.
but
Just the way the ending of that was, it was crazy. You didn't expect who was gonna die, what happened with his partner, like and like how he kind of was like telling his partner's girl, like, you're mine now.
Mhm.
I don't know, just like, and he was kind of like, he was like dressed more like him and like looked more like him instead of his like little scary, like, I don't want to do it. I don't know. It was just, I liked him, and that's kind of what I felt from him. Outside of Sorcerer.
I don't think you got Sorcerer, man. I'm sorry. That movie was awesome.
yeah, I mean, there's like a really like big theme of nihilism, in these movies. So I can see why they would be a harder watch for some people because there's not really a good guy.
I'm fine with that. I don't care about a good guy. I favor if the good guy dies at the end
That's
and
true.
loses. Like, that's fine with me. But Sorcerer, yeah, maybe I just watching a bunch of dudes not talk for 45 minutes straight, almost in these intense bridge scenes, I guess just didn't capture me.
Yeah, you don't like the back and forth.
I don't think it's about getting it or not getting it. I think that's just some fucking pretentious bullshit right there. Like, if you just don't like it, you don't like it. Like, you watch the whole fucking movie, like.
Well, I don't get it.
You didn't enjoy it. Yeah, like
I don't get it. I don't get it. I'll
think
never watch it again.
that movie is not super complex. There's not like hidden shit. It's pretty straightforward. So I mean, like, I just think if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's fine. But I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for not liking it. I'm just saying, like,
No, wrong.
I feel like
Just wouldn't say that.
straightforward is not a word I would use for any of these movies. But I get what you mean. And yeah, I didn't like Sorcerer. I didn't get it. I didn't get what was, because when I when you guys pick these movies, I assume you pick them for either you haven't seen them or you really like them for a reason and you've seen them a few times. So like when you watch a movie, you understand kind of like the point it's really trying to make or the anecdotal story it's telling. But when you watch it the first time, not all the time do you grasp that, and that can also change how much you like the movie when you watch it a second or third time because you catch those extra things. I've seen, and like we were talking about earlier, sometimes you go back and watch a movie and you rate it higher because you maybe understood more of what was going on. And that's a lot what I mean when I think about these movies, because, these older movies focus to me a lot more on like set pieces and setting tones and like not so much holding your hand the whole way through the story. It's more nuanced. So I feel like that's why with these movies, sometimes I have a harder time like really understanding what is being said. Not that I think Sorcerer might be one of those, but that's what I mean when I'm like, maybe I don't fucking get it, because that movie did not like really hold my attention in much of any way. So I think it was the first one I started with, so I was like, oh no, but then Killer Joe, and that was fucking great. So I was like, all right, cool.
It's cool. That's fair.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Bont? His themes?
I mean, I pretty much said all I wanted to say.
Oh, well, all right then.
I mean,
Sorry.
this is the second round of themes. I kind of...
No, we did our introductions just to how we felt about him, and then we did the themes. But
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, you're good. I'm just moving us along. All right, well, let's talk about his style, which we kind of fucking talked a little bit about it, but I think he does a lot of badass camera work where he does the quick cuts and the way he films the car chase scenes, or that scene in Sorcerer, which is totally masterful. What he does with the camera work on the bridge. I mean, that's got to be some of the biggest tension I felt in a movie in a long time. And Sorcerer was the only one of the 5 you picked that I hadn't seen, so I watched that one twice. I watched it once by myself and once with Rex. So it was my least favorite, but not for bad reasons. I just found it the least interesting of these 5 movies because I found parts of it kind of boring and the pacing a little bit off, but that's just me personally. I don't think that makes it a bad film or that those are bad things, but I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more being the director of French Connection and Exorcist and To Live and Die in LA and shit. So, but yeah, so let's talk about his camera work, his style, his approach to film. Danny?
Well, you pretty much said all that stuff. No, like I was mentioning earlier when we were talking about it, I like the way he uses mirrors. There's a scene in To Live and Die in LA when she's putting on her makeup and Willem Dafoe walks up to the mirror and leans on it, and like obviously you can see both sides of the reflection, and you can see her. She's using a side mirror to do her makeup, but there's no camera. So like I like that where it really puts you in the room with them and doesn't make you feel like it's you're watching a movie or anything like that. And then a lot of it you can tell is handheld. Especially French Connection, the handheld camera work is insane. And, back then that didn't seem like something that they would do regularly, at least not to my knowledge. I could be talking out of my ass here, but I thought that was really cool that they did that kind of stuff. And then I know it doesn't really have to do with this camera work, but dude, the music in all of these movies is so dope.
Oh, yeah.
Especially To Live and Die in LA. That music was reminding me of like Streets of Rage that I used to play on Sega Genesis. Like, I don't know what it was, but yeah, he really knows how to, capture an environment using music. And I think that's important, especially in storytelling. And with movies like Sorcerer, there's not a whole lot of dialogue, but the tension with the music and, just kind of seeing the scenarios they're in. I mean, trying to drive a truck that you can't bounce because if you do, it's going to blow up dynamite. Through these crazy narrow passages that they do in that movie, like the tension was real. But I liked the camera work in that too, because you kind of felt that tension with, watching the tires almost go off the road or, get stuck in the ditch. At one point, I think he gets stuck in like the bridge. It like caves in and the tires like stuck in there. Dude, I was not feeling good watching that. I was like, oh my God. But anyways, yeah,
I don't understand how any of that was boring. That movie is tense.
It was very tense. Oh man, it was super
that
tense.
scene wasn't boring. I mean, we're talking about like the whole movie. We'll talk about it when we get to the breakdown of the films. God damn it.
I thought it was awesome.
All right, Rex. How do you feel about it?
Oh, Sorcerer, terrible.
No, the
Oh, sorry. The camera work. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm getting off track. His styles and camera work. I mean, I feel like it was, not to oppose Danny here, but fuck what Danny said. I feel like it matched exactly what the 70s was like. I feel like cameras weren't as still back then. Like there wasn't so much everything's on rails and being followed because they go to more real locations. Just like how Brandon was saying earlier, they kind of are like, hey, we're gonna go actually record on the street in New York. So you can't really, back then, you can't shut down a whole part of New York. Maybe you could back then. They did for Vanilla Sky, but either way,
yeah, they did not. They did that car chase in French Connection like without any clearance.
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Everybody should have gone to jail for that shit.
Absolutely.
That's fucked up. But no, it was cool. You guys are right. He does the way he films, or the way is he the cinematographer, or like I don't know who decides how these like filming things are done constantly.
A lot of my favorite directors are really involved in the cinematography. Like they have a shot in mind and they work really closely with their cinematographer, so that's you'll see that as a theme with a lot of the directors I pick in the episodes and months and stuff to come. So
okay, but yeah, no, it's super cool. Like you guys have all been saying, so I'll just repeat it. He does make you feel like you're part of the scene instead of watching from a distance. You're part of what's going on. Like in those scenes in Cruising, when you're in those clubs, those S&M clubs, dude, it's
hard.
It's like, yeah. Oh man, I don't know if I'll ever be able to ever again.
Oh my God.
It's like right. You feel like you're in there with Pacino, just going through the crowd, and they're all giving you that look, like they're looking you up and down, like you're a nice.
If you look like Bruce Springsteen, you're in trouble.
So no, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like his style. It's been said that it's got a cinema verite quality. That's not an original thought. That's something I read about him, which basically just means like documentary style, very realistic, almost like you're part of the environment that you're in, real, very, very natural. And you feel that in a lot of his movies, and I like that style and that feel. And even though he's in there with these, this ground level sort of filmmaking, he's still able to really grab these really beautiful shots. I mean, some of the shots until we're just going to keep talking leading up to this movie. Some of the shots in Sorcerer are some of my favorite shots ever. They're so good. And same with To Live and Die in LA. Like I am flabbergasted by both of those movies every time I watch them, and how great they look for the time they were shot, and the color palettes and all that stuff is beautiful. Especially LA never looked dirtier, and I live pretty close to LA, so
you do live in the LA area.
I do live in the LA area, yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome, and even I'll give the Exorcist its flowers. It is a beautiful looking movie, and it's got some great shots and filmmaking techniques in it. It just doesn't resonate with me like these five do. And even other movies that he's made, like The Hunted, are really good as well. I was just thinking about that movie today, and I was like, man, maybe I should have picked that one for this watch along too. But that's what happens when you got a good director. He's got a lot of good movies.
Yeah, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick from the variety. Well, let's start getting into the movies themselves then. We're going to kick it off with The French Connection. That one's got cinematography by Owen Roizman. He's also the same cinematographer as The Exorcist. It's the only time those two work together. But you can tell in a lot of ways when you watch both of those movies that the cinematographer has a certain style as well, and he meshed with Friedkin in a good way. French Connection's also written by Ernest Tidyman. I don't know. I don't think it's Tidyman.
It's Tittyman. It's Tittyman.
This movie was released in 1971, and he won a number of awards for it. Gene Hackman is the star of this one, and why don't you kick us off, Danny boy?
Yeah, Gene Hackman is a nutball in this movie for sure. You can't really tell if he's like a super crooked cop. He's got some crookedness to him, but I think he also wants to get his man. You know, that
Have you
one
been
scene.
picking your feet in Poughkeepsie, Danny?
Yeah, dude, what the hell was that? Like, just like, oh my god, dude! They kept saying that. I was like, okay, cool, inside joke, I guess. But no, I like the scene where they went to, like, I think it was the Black Bar, and they had all the people like lined up against the wall, and like how unhinged he became, and he just fucking knew where all the shit was, and then takes that guy in the bathroom, and then you find out that that guy's an informant or whatever. But like, there was a good side to him, but for the most part, he had to be kind of a hard ass the entire freaking movie to, you know, get to the bottom of pretty much everything that was kind of going on. And yeah, that scene where he's chasing that guy with the umbrella cane hemp thing he's got going on. A lot of tension right there. I mean, you wanted him to stay with him, but at the same time, you're like, dude, you are following way too close. Like, you got to back up a little bit. Like, he's going to see you. And obviously he did. But this movie's awesome. I don't think that, you know, there's really anything bad about it. You know, that car chase scene at the end really is the cherry on top, and just how he's just bashing his car into like other people just to like chase this train down and shit. And
Almost plows that lady.
Yeah, the ending is kind of poetic in the sense, only because I didn't really like that guy, and then come to find out he didn't know who was coming around the corner, and he just pops him. I was like, oh, good. Like, that guy kind of sucks, but
But you can't kill another cop.
I know. You know, like the entire movie, you're seeing the tension between those two, and they obviously didn't like each other, so it was kind of like, in a sense, justice got served for Gene Hackman.
What?
Yeah.
What justice? That guy just didn't like him because he got his partner killed.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'd kill him too.
Like,
Danny likes Gene Hackman because Gene Hackman is not a corrupt cop, but Gene Hackman, much like Danny, is a wild man. And Gene Hackman is going to do whatever it's going to take to get his man. And
as would I.
And he'll even shoot a guy in the back if it takes to, you know, that a cop, like a good cop would shoot someone in the back.
True.
All right, well, why don't you take that away then, Rex?
French Connection. This movie is sweet. Yeah, Gene Hackman is a fucking wild man. It's so insane, and I understand why everybody else is like, you can't trust this guy. He's like, he sometimes has good hunches. Sometimes.
And then
obviously his partner got killed. Yeah, and then by somebody picking their feet.
Mm-hmm. He's a loose cannon, man.
Yeah, more than a loose cannon. Like, this dude is wild. That car chase, that was the most tense scene in all of these movies for me, was that car chase, because he's chasing that train. He's almost hitting people. He does hit people. I'm thinking also about the guy's car he took. Like, that poor dude.
Yeah.
It was a great
your car
scene.
Back, brother.
Yeah, you can pick that up. I also was confused how they got that car back together so fast and looking so perfect when you see Gene Hackman just ripping stuff out, like not giving a shit. He's just ripping through that car.
I think they came
for the drugs.
Different car and just put the drugs in the thing. Different car.
Is that what happened?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I thought they put it together because in the scene,
I don't know how you put that car back together.
The French guys are like, "Hey, we've been here for 4 hours now, like waiting." So that's kind of how I took that.
Okay,
but I agree with you. It does seem a little outlandish.
To get a car that looked exactly like it too.
Yeah. So that was just a little off the top, but no, I like his partner. His partner's sweet.
Roy
always
is
down,
the man,
dude. Always down. always, no matter what, he's like, you don't care that he killed his last partner? He's like, that's my partner. Like, hell yeah. Like, talking about the dude that will jump off a bridge with you, like, if you ask him, that's that guy right there. But I do like the ending, because I don't think he was a good cop. I think he might have been at one time before his partner died, and that might have drove him to be this loose cannon. But yeah, like you said, at the end, what he did to the guy he didn't like, even though he might not have known, but I mean, he knew.
Justice was served.
Like what he does to those people in there, like
yeah.
he's a dirty cop, and none of them would mess with him, because the dirtier you are, the worse you'll do to somebody. That's just kind of how I took him. And his partner's like the guy that keeps him kind of in the lane, like in control a bit, while also still following his lead to the death, almost. But no, I like this movie a lot. This movie, the chase scene was tense, him chasing the guy in the cane until the train. The train is where I lost it all right there, because I just couldn't understand how. I get he's a drunk and he's a loose cannon, but I never thought of him as completely stupid till that scene. Those little bits of scene, like I said, getting the lollipop when he asked for the grape drink, obviously running, jumping in and out, like not being patient.
Yeah.
Like it didn't land with me. But before that, the scene, I was like, dude, he's not going to catch this dude with a cane. Crazy. But I like this movie overall. I haven't seen a lot of Gene Hackman movies. I've been thinking about it since watching this, and it does make me want to watch more, because he was fucking sweet in this movie.
Dude,
Gene
Enemy of the
Hackman's a badass,
State
dude.
with Will Smith. That's a good one.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Okay, I have seen that movie.
Watch Unforgiven.
Unforgiven's good too. Those are both good.
Enemy of the
like
State,
Enemy of the
not a good
State?
movie. No.
Do you just not like Will Smith?
I don't like that movie, but I also don't like Will Smith.
Like, I wasn't sure, because he's the star of it. So if you don't like Will Smith, I don't see you liking the movie too much.
Hey,
But,
when
yeah,
Jason
that's what I
Lee gets
think.
smeared by that train, I'm like, can't watch any more of this movie.
Did him dirty.
French Connection, it's pretty good. I'll probably watch it again.
Oh, yeah.
I do. I like how smart he was. That's why I think he was a good cop. Because like in the bar, he's the only one who's like, this guy's a candy store guy, and he's in a club throwing money around like this. Like, he's got cars. He brings $7,000 a year. Yeah, like, I don't know. He just made connections, even though it wasn't French, that were sweet. And like, it just shows kind of like what in my opinion, how I took it, what he used to be, and why they actually took his gut
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. For me, I think this is an all-time classic, like, cop crime thriller. If you enjoy these types of movies, this should definitely be at the top of your list to watch if you've never seen it. It's got an iconic car chase in it. It's got an iconic performance in it, and I think all the parts around it are really great too. Just the smaller moments between him and Roy Scheider, Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider, are really good, and I really like the procedural type of investigation. Like, it really kind of follows them along, following the threads and stuff. So that's really cool, and it's an interesting movie. Yeah, that's about all I got to say about that one.
I enjoyed The French Connection as well. It's the whole time I was rewatching it, because it'd been probably a couple of 8 years since I've seen it. So I thought it reminded me a lot of The Shield. So I'm kind of wondering if they got some inspiration with the grittiness and the tactics of Gene Hackman's character for Vic Mackey and shit. I feel like, he's kind of a loose cannon too, and a little bit crazy, and do whatever he takes to get what he wants, basically. And I kind of saw those qualities in him. So I would be hard pressed to, believe that he wasn't influenced by that when he made it. But yeah, I really like French Connection. I think it was good.
Yeah.
It's a good noir film, and I agree. It should be at the top of the list if you're into that kind of thing. If you're into the like hard-boiled detective shit, just any shit like that, check out The French Connection for sure.
Yeah, and just to add, Popeye Doyle is he's a character based on a real New York cop named Eddie Egan, who is like the basis for a whole bunch of cop stuff from that era. He became like a consultant and was a consultant on French Connection, so it's kind of an interesting little connection.
Oh yeah.
So wait, this wasn't loosely based on a story? That ending thing where they like write out like they threw out his case?
No, that's
then
all
they...
fake. That was all fake.
Okay, I was
but-
like, damn, was this part like based on something real?
No, but yeah, Popeye Doyle is based on a real cop who had maybe potentially dubious methods, or in Danny's case, justified methods.
Oh yeah. Justice was served, as he says.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
It's messed
Let's
up.
move our way down the timeline to 1977's Sorcerer. Cinematographers for this film are John M. Stevens and Dick Bush.
Hell yeah,
Hell yeah, Dick.
I'm sure you've seen his name pop up in plenty of movies.
Richie
that's what
Bush,
he does.
baby.
The writer for this one is Waylon Green. And yeah, 1977 Sorcerer. Take us away, Danny boy.
Dude, I don't know what movie you guys were watching, but that movie is awesome. I loved the tension pretty much throughout, but, I watched it with Brandon, and he pretty much told me, the last, like, hour and 30 minutes of this movie, you're going to be pretty clenched. And I definitely was. Just, like, the whole circumstance of what they were having to go through, and him and I were discussing this a little bit. I felt like all four of these guys had something to prove, whether that's they wanted to leave the island because they'd been there for so long, or they were just trying to make a name for themselves or trying to get some money. They all kind of had their own reasoning for doing the job, even though it was pretty suicidal or whatever. But yeah, just the buildup of the tension and the camera work in that. Crossing that bridge was insane, dude. That looked like some... I kept telling Brandon it looked like something at like Universal Studios, like the studio tour, like where's that one scene where they take you down in the subway and it floods and stuff like that. I was like, that's what this movie reminded me of. But that stuff was, dude, it was kind of tough to watch. You're getting a little sketched out by it, but I really liked that movie. I thought it was just really well done, and the music in the beginning was badass, but it kind of faded a little bit throughout the movie. But it was still
Tangerine
pretty
Dream,
badass.
baby.
Hell yeah. And the homie Roy was back again. He was one of the main guys. That was cool.
Yeah, Roy Scheider again.
Yeah. But this one really got me excited for the others to completely watch through after I watched this. But I had already watched Killer Joe and To Live and Die in LA already. So it was a nice little bit of a change of story, I guess you could say, but then again, it's bad people that are put in bad situations for being bad, so it kind of made sense. But yeah, I really like this movie. This was one of my favorites of the ones we watched. What about you, Rex? I know you love this movie.
This is a beautiful movie. I didn't like it. It's got some cool stuff in it. Maybe you guys can explain it to me because maybe I missed something. But why was delivering nitroglycerin to an oil field on fire the mission? Because isn't nitroglycerin highly flammable? So you're just...
In order to stop the fire, you basically have to blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool, perfect. Sweetest scene for me in that movie is when they blew up that tree. I thought that was so
that tree. And that was real too. Like that was like
that was real.
Yeah,
that's even more badass.
They had to blow the fucking tree up.
No,
that's how they did it. That's how Willie Freeze does it, dog. He's like,
look,
we gotta blow a tree up in the movie.
Know.
Guess we gotta blow a tree up.
It was sick, but it's even sicker now that it was real. But when I saw that part, I was getting like, I was definitely kind of like, this movie.
There was no CG back then, man.
Yeah,
they had to do what you see on camera.
Star Wars came out in the 70s, and look what they did without CGI.
Same year.
So I would believe that they might have somehow tricked us into seeing that explosion. Either way, it was great, and it's even better now. But no, I didn't care for it. I was really bored in the beginning. The scenes on the bridge were cool at first, the first one, but the second one I thought was just played out with the bridge again. This one was in the water, so it was sinking. Like, I get that, but the first one, like you said, they're coming around that corner. That thing's like coming off the edges, all the logs. Like, that was pretty tense. But then when they brought the bridge again, I was like, again, because it's the same scenario now.
Yeah.
But outside of that, yeah, the movie was just kind of okay. I think I'm not opposed to movies where they don't talk a lot, or if they talk a lot, but this one I felt it just, I guess it didn't grab my attention.
That's fine.
It didn't grab my attention, but yeah, that I'm glad that the dude made it at the end. The one dude like driving a truck that just shakes while you got nitroglycerin in the back. Like they keep showing scenes back to the back, and I'm like, how the fuck is this stuff not blowing up right now?
That's what made that movie
Dude,
so
like,
bad.
just-
Like that's what I mean. How are you bored? Like the whole time that shit's back. I'm just thinking about that stuff.
It's got, like I said, it's got cool stuff, but it just, the rest of the movie didn't grab me too much.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and then the guys in the cab show up at the end and go into the place where he's at too. So,
Danny?
so one of your bigger issues was that you didn't know what sorcerer meant, and that like you didn't understand the title, and you. So after seeing the movie, that is my question, because I have an answer for you. The director's commented on this, but I want to know what you think sorcerer means after seeing the movie.
well, when you put out you blow up the fire to put it out, I figure that's the sorcery. I don't know.
That's a pretty
No,
good one.
that's amazing. I love that.
That's, lay it on me, man. I want to know
No,
why
no,
there
no,
wasn't
no.
wizards in this.
So Friedkin has said that the sorcerer is an evil wizard, and in this case, the evil wizard is fate. The fact that someone can walk out of their front door and a hurricane can take them away, an earthquake, or something falling through the roof, and the idea that we don't really have control over our own fates, neither our births nor our deaths. It's something that has haunted me since I was intelligent enough to contemplate something like that. So these guys are all kind of running from fate, and their way to stare down fate, the evil wizard, the sorcerer, is to take on this suicidal, impossible job, and it's not even really about whether or not they can do it. They have to do it because this is all they have left, you know?
No, he's wrong. What I said's right. Because that nitroglycerin's magic, and that dude delivered it. He's a fucking wizard. He's a sword. No, that's tight though. That's awesome, and that's what I'm talking about. Like these older movies, they have this anecdotal story, overall like story that you have to watch, and
It's the themes, man. It's
yeah,
all
the themes, and
Themes.
that's what I just missed. So I didn't understand it.
Hey, it's cool, man. That, I mean, you understood it. I mean, it's bad people getting in bad situations because they were bad, you know. And I love the setup of this movie, how it goes through each of these guys. You know, it shows the kind of their prologue and how they get to South America, and then you spend a little time with them there and how they're living there. And then they get set on this mission, and spoiler, they all die on the way there except for one guy. And back to what Danny and I are laughing about, I love how Qasim and what was the French guy's name? I can't. Serrano. I love how they died because they finally get across this bridge and they're just taking a deep ass breath. Serrano was like caught in a tree, fucking trying to get over this thing, and they're just talking about their life back home. They're like, man, that sucked ass. And then they have a tire blowout and they fucking fall off a cliff and explode in the most unceremonious way possible, but it's so awesome, and it's such a like a oh fuck moment.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, that moment was sweet. That was a sweet moment, but
You know, I'm actually kind of shocked, if I can intervene real quick, that you don't like this movie, Rex, because so many of the main characters die right before your eyes. So I feel like that should place it pretty high on your list. All
there's
right.
other extenuating
nothing
factors. There's other extenuating factors. It doesn't matter who dies. If it doesn't grab my attention,
Yeah.
you know,
And
it doesn't help.
I also love a movie with very little dialogue and just like a lot of sick framing. And when the silhouette of the truck when they're turning the lights on is so sick. And there's so many other shots in that movie that are great, but that's like the iconic one. The score by Tangerine Dream, that freaking electro, almost like John Carpenter, gets me cut. All right, guys.
Nice.
This is getting cut with Brandon.
For me, it's not that Sorcerer is a bad film by any means or anything like that, but I didn't like it as much as the other ones, and the reason being is it's just the other ones were more. I mean, this, Brandon. At least the other three of those other movies were right up my alley in terms of like the neo noir thing. So Sorcerer is just a little lower on my list because of that. I do think the movie is filmed brilliantly, like throughout. I guess for me, it really is just the pacing. Like I said, I felt like bored in some parts, and that's really not a slight against the movie. I just didn't really find anything interesting here and there. There are plenty of moments. There are plenty of moments where I know exactly what you guys are saying, and I agree. But it's just like I don't know that I'd watch it again. I mean, I did watch it twice, but I don't know that I'd watch it again for a while. But the one thing I did say to Rex when we were watching it that I did like a lot was it kind of reminded me of a video game, because obstacle after obstacle, these guys are just fucking they're just stopped dead in their tracks, and they got to find new ways to get where they need to go and how they need to do it. And the biggest one that made me laugh, and it is still my favorite scene in the whole movie, but they finally get over the fucking bridge with the truck and everything is good, and then they're blocked by the fucking tree, the tree vines and all that shit, and that dude just goes nuts with that machete, like cutting it down and shit. He's so fucking pissed off, dude. And it's like I felt him in that moment. I was like, oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. And then the scene of them setting up the bomb to kind of take that tree on, dude. Again, the actors do such a great job of portraying this as a volatile substance,
What do you mean? You said that explosion was real. That probably wasn't acting. They were like, we gotta be fucking careful, guys. This tree might blow.
I'm not getting paid enough for
son
this
of
shit.
A bitch. Yeah, William Friedkin. He's like, nah, dude, we do this shit real, dog. I got that nitro right here.
He's got the real nitro in the back of the truck. That's
He
why
didn't
they
even
all
know about
look.
Crash Bandicoot, but he invented them right there.
Crash.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm just gonna be honest. Like I said, it was just okay. I wasn't blown away like you guys. I love it. You
Too
love
bad.
it though. Like again. And another thing I was telling Rex is like, I usually love most of the movies you love, Brandon. Like, you tell me to watch a movie, I usually walk away going, fuck yeah. There's a couple instances, like, I didn't care for the Kinski fucking Nosferatu. I know you love it. I didn't really care for Sorcerer, but for the most part, like with Wim Wenders, like all those, I finally got back and watched Wings of Desire and American Friend, and those are both really good movies as well. So, like, most of the time I agree with you, but Sorcerer just left me feeling like, damn it, I just expected more. I don't know if
Get
that was
smoked.
It's coming. Don't worry.
But yeah, speaking of getting smoked,
That's a great transition. God damn it.
Move further down the timeline once again to 1980 with Cruising, cinematography by James Cordier. I don't know how to say his fucking name. This one's actually written by William Friedkin, so that's cool. That's the first one on the list that he's written with for us. So take us away, Danny. I know you have plenty to say about this
his
one.
favorite.
I'm kind of glad I went into this blind. Only thing I knew about it was that Al Pacino was in it. It's a story of a guy going undercover to look for a serial killer that's targeting gay men. This is obviously pre-AIDS New York gay area, because it was very over the top. Now, I don't think that was just because it's a movie. I think that's probably how it really was. And so
Well,
it's
in that
just
circumstance when they're in the club, they're just
Right.
allowed to let loose,
it just crazy to me that there's a guy in the corner getting some dome rock, and like you're trying to walk up to the bar to get a Coors Light or something, But
just to interject, I love Paul Sorvino in this movie. Every
Yeah.
time they're talking
Fuck
about
yeah.
gay
Oh,
stuff, he's
Eeyore.
just like, I do not want to be talking about this right now.
right.
So uncomfortable.
Eeyore, he seemed like he just was thrilled to be there, but I think that was his character. But yeah, there was a lot of good suspense to it. I don't know. Would you call this movie a horror movie? I mean, it kind of had little aspects of it, but
I mean,
I would give it more thriller vibe, I guess.
It's one of the reasons why I picked it and why I like it is because it's very reminiscent of Italian giallo films, you know, where you kind of get to see the killer doing his thing, and there's always a detective following the case, and so it has a lot of those elements, and the black gloves, not only because of, you know, he's following undercover in the, you know, BDSM kind of subculture of the gay subculture, so it's like but you know, so the black gloves are a very big part of that genre of film, the giallo. And if you ever watch anything by Aaron knows his name. Oh, I don't know why I'm blanking on his
Argento.
Dario Argento. He's like the master of those movies. So that's where to go to get your giallo cut for sure.
100%.
Can't
Took the
wait
words
to
right out
do
of my
that.
mouth.
Can't wait to do that.
I was
All
waiting to
movies
bring
about
that up.
gay serial killers.
So,
They're, you know, they're
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it obviously built a lot of tension, had that noir vibe to it, feel. It was probably my weakest of the 5 that we watched. It was still a good movie, but I don't know, it didn't really, you know, encapsulate me like these other movies did with their stories and stuff. And not to sound, you know, like a bad person because it's a gay movie. That's not what it is. But I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't vibe with it.
This is a gay movie?
you need to see leather clad dudes getting that chili ring.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Trying to make out with the singer of Judas Priest? No? You're not down?
No, thank you so much.
All right, well, let's cruise on over to Rex.
I don't want to
No?
cruise anywhere.
No, you're not trying to cruise on.
But I like this movie more than I thought, even though, in my opinion, it's like 35% detective serial killer work and then 65% man ass, which is, you know, fine. It sets the tone for the movie, and I get it. But I thought the movie was interesting, especially the ending. And you know, I have my thoughts on how it ended, but in the beginning of the movie, I thought it was interesting that you get a kind of a peek at the killer. So the whole time, I feel like when you're watching this movie, you're trying to look for like idiosyncrasies between who it could be, because you know, you see pretty much kind of like right here and down, so you can see his teeth, which I'm pretty positive it's Stewart who does the first initial one. I don't know about the rest, but Stewart, because his like upper teeth kind of match this buck that he had. That's what I was looking for anyways.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I think it was cool. I think you're right. The captain didn't want anything to do with this case. And like, you know, you at the third precinct. I don't know. It was interesting. Plus his face when they found I forgot the redheaded guy's name. The Al Pacino's interest.
Neighbor. Yeah.
His neighbor.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but at the
David,
second
something like that. Yeah.
It was like Skip or something.
Steve? I don't know. Some shit.
Steve?
Stewart.
I thought Stewart is Stewart's the guy that at the end that he gets.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. That Stewart was the bad guy, and then Skip, I think, is the guy you're talking about.
Well, yeah. When he sees Skip's body and realizes who lived next door, like his face, like just was telling. But it was like, is he the actual serial killer or not? And then at the end, it's like, well, he kind of had feelings for Skippy over there, and like you could tell by that interaction with his roommate. Ted. Oh, Ted. Skippy.
Skip was one of the guys that they accused of being the killer, I believe.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. It was an interesting movie. I would have probably been a lot more interested in it if it wasn't like, I get they're setting the tone, but I didn't need to see that many dudes getting head in the club. Like I didn't need that scene. Like maybe it made sense and I missed it, but the whole rag thing.
I think
like,
it helps
this rag
stand out.
that.
You know,
I don't know. It just like I don't understand why he chose the peon, the golden shower rag out of all the ones he had.
One.
I mean, it's probably
the rag subculture where it's like, oh, gay dude's got a little code going on, and they get to fashion accessorize, and you know.
After I did watch this movie, I looked up a little bit about it, and actually the gay community fought back against this movie and said that this movie puts them in a really bad light, and it's not actually like that.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know about
I
the
read that
rags.
too. Yeah.
I don't know about the rags, but I just thought that was just like a little much. I mean, the
Well, no,
scene
I
was
mean,
kind of
gay people are people. Like,
Yeah.
not they're not all just like fucking and sucking out in public.
no, absolutely
They
not. So that's so like
they have the same sort of like moral restrictions that most people have. They're just gay.
that's why watching this it just seemed a little over the top. And I understand
for
that they're
sure.
trying to make they're trying to show a style of a lifestyle in in the BDSM lifestyle is a lot like that, like you said, a lot of leather, all this stuff, assless chaps everywhere.
Yeah.
But either way, I think this movie was sweet, and I don't think Al Pacino was the killer. I think he killed at the end, like I said, due to maybe not understanding he's gay or hating himself over it or something like that. That's kind of what I took from that. But I think Stewart was the killer
Yeah.
all along.
I think Stewart was the killer, and I think that long shot on Al Pacino at the end is just kind of to show that he's having an inner conflict with his own identity after going and spending so much time, because maybe he didn't know he had this side to him before, getting assigned this case. A lot of those feelings maybe could have been repressed, and this case is kind of what made him realize this, or maybe he's just a fucking full-on psycho and he killed all these dudes. Like I that's why I like that like long like slow in on him at the end, because you're kind of trying to piece together what he's thinking, and what's going on in his head. And Al Pacino does such a great job in this movie. He's a little manlet, little 5'3", just walking around with his little rag.
crazy man.
He's just a little like just on that Al Pacino chili cruise. Like,
Dude, they all look at him like he's a snack too.
Yeah,
like he's like, ooh, look at that guy.
Like,
I'm gonna
look
look
at him.
around.
He's got that nice little like picked freaking hair, man. You get
Hell yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, man.
This was another movie. Aaron told me a little bit about it, but he didn't mention much. But I didn't know to this extent how much it was going to be like that. Showing that kind of type of culture.
I didn't want to give it away or put anything into your head about it because it is up. Like if you watch interviews with Friedkin about this movie, he says he left it ambiguous for a reason. So I didn't really want to give you any ideas, and I kind of wanted you to take away what you felt like you wanted to take away from it. So
yeah, and definitely was a shocker in this movie from start to the end.
Yeah.
in more ways than one. But it was great.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like this one too because it's just another kind of deconstruction of normal masculinity and identity and stuff like that. And I kind of like, just like with the French Connection, it's very procedural, kind of goes through the case. That's why you see so much of the club life, because as an undercover guy, he's got to do that shit all the time. Also, I think he kind of liked it a little bit.
For a lot of those scenes, he was in there, and I feel like he was doing nothing, like to help proceed the case.
Until he
got
to the part where he had the poppers, dude.
Yeah,
he was doing something.
He was thinking about doing something for a long while, but like you keep going back to these scenes, and he a lot of times, like, I understand he's got to watch, but that's all he does, and then it's in there for like 10 minutes, then it cuts, and it's either he's at the apartment with somebody or at his girls or whatever's going on after. But I didn't understand a lot why he was in there so much doing nothing towards this case. I'm like, you're a cop, do your job.
I mean, when you're undercover though, you're observing, you're not just getting in it. You gotta check your surroundings. You gotta do that shit for a long time to make sure you fit in and you don't raise suspicion. So it's I get it.
I figured, but I felt like if I were to say pacing issues, which I don't ever really say, I feel like that there kind of would stop the movie for me. How many times they would do it without any kind of real progression into what outside of his like you said, he probably liked it. Like he was kind of figuring out that he liked where he was at. So he's like, I could just, it's Friday night, I'm going to kind of roll down. But
yeah, I don't think, so, I mean, I think you could have probably cut a solid maybe 10 minutes out, made it a lean 90-minute movie. It's an hour and 42 minutes, but this is a 90-minute movie all the way, So, in my opinion, it could have been leaned down a little bit. But, again, I mean, not to like repeat myself when I interjected, but I really like this movie a lot too. I like the way it's filmed, and the shadows and the colors, and the club scenes are always like really darkly lit and vibrant, and you can really feel that sweat, for better or worse.
Where's the sweat at, though?
Sliding down the back of his ass.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably say it's probably my number 5 if we were to put these in 1 through 5. Just good. It's good, but it's not great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like this movie as well. I own it for the reason you mentioned earlier. I bought it on a list of suggestions because I'm an Argento fan and I wanted to see more Giallo films. So I bought this one, and I do like that it takes place in the gay scene more because we've seen the other version of this movie a trillion times,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that it uses the homosexual scene as a backdrop for as a catalyst to the story, because it keeps it a little more interesting, and it keeps me a little more like guessing because we're, like I said, we're used to the damsel in distress killer films. That's par for the course, and I think Cruising is different in that regard. And my interpretation of the ending, Rex, you kind of mentioned it already. I feel that they did catch the killer, but I feel like that last kill is Pacino because he is conflicted with himself. And I think that's why when the camera pans to the suit and his girlfriend sees the outfit, I think we as the viewer are supposed to get that feeling. And that's just my take on it. So I kind of feel like he did that copycat kill at the end because of his own, his own doubts in himself, and he's ashamed that he feels that way for his neighbor. So,
and he's still going to struggle with it as it goes on. He's probably going to go back to those clubs, and it might lead to another death, if that is the case.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, and I think that makes it interesting. It stands out. I would put it at number 4 on my list. I just like it a little bit more than Sorcerer because, again, it's themed in something I really enjoy. I love those old Italian horror Giallo films.
I just love a battle against fate, man. What can I say?
Yeah, like I said, it's nothing against Sorcerer. Some of the movies you picked are just, like I said, way more in my wheelhouse that I like more. So let's move 5 years down the line to Live and Die in L.A. This cinematographer is Robbie Mueller. We talked about him during our Wim Wenders episode 2 weeks ago. This one's also co-written by Friedkin and Gerald Petovich. It's a neo-noir film yet again. So Danny Boy.
I don't know that many people are familiar with, older Willem Dafoe roles, but this one is probably the cake chopper for me. Everybody's always talking about Boondock Saints or, Spider-Man or, some of the more recent, ones. But, dude, he's so good in this movie because you kind of want to like him, but you kind of know that he's a piece of shit and a psychopath. And then, obviously, my boy, William J. Peterson, let me tell you what, dude. That guy's got a hog on him, all right? It was so weird. The first time I saw this movie, I was not ready for that. And I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. So cool. But he's awesome in this. I obviously didn't really know any of his filmography as an actual actor in like movies. I just only ever remember him from like CSI. But I remember, I think one of the first movies I saw him in was Fear with Mark Wahlberg. He's the dad in that. Yeah, he's the dad, Reese Witherspoon's dad. But in this movie, dude, he's awesome. He's kind of that young cop, young and just ready to get out there and just shoot anything that walks and fuck anything that walks and
anything that moves.
Has a pretty good rapport with his partner who's, days away from retiring. And then, lo and behold, shit goes down and he kind of goes on this like spiral of like doing anything he can to solve this, this murder.
Well, if I may
get this guy.
His partner is a dumb shit. His partner's 3 days away from retirement, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go chase down this lead by myself." It's
I know.
Go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
But I like the story that it builds. Then he gets teamed up with this other guy, Johnny, and you feel for that guy. You feel bad for that guy in the beginning because he's kind of like the desk cop or whatever. But the transition of him essentially turning into Chance at the end of the movie was really funny, except for the end when he had his shirt open like a bastard. That really made me mad.
Hot for the
Yeah.
lady.
Right. You know, going
Shirt
from the
open
good
like a
cop to the bad
bastard.
cop. But dude, the car chase in this movie is so sweet. Like driving through the LA River and stuff like that, and
Oh, and burning.
getting chased by
man.
the agents and whatnot.
Well, that's the great thing about this car chase is you think that the guys that are chasing them are criminals.
Right.
You're like, what the heck? Why are all these? Where are all these guys coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day at the station, it's like, oh yeah, these FBI guys were doing some undercover shit and they got robbed while they were doing it.
Right.
And it's like, holy fuck, dude! All those dudes were just coming out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like. And that shit is crazy too because it's super intense and all those cars are just coming out. They're like, where are these guys coming from? What is happening? I love that shit. I don't know. Sorry,
But yeah, this was the best one out of all of them that we watched. I think it's his best movie, but I obviously haven't really watched everything he's done. We talked about a lot of the cinematography in this. I talked about that mirror stuff. And then, yeah, there were some weird aspects to it. That ballet scene really tripped me out. But I get it, you know, Willem Dafoe's an artist. He's a weird guy, hangs out with weird people. But it was just a weird, like, little, I don't know, 30-second clip or whatever it was.
get some culture in your
ruled.
life.
This movie ruled. It was my favorite of all of them. I enjoyed it a lot.
Where does it sit for you, Rex? How do you feel?
I like this one a lot. This movie was sweet. I was guessing Gene Hackman was busy, so he couldn't do this one. So they got Willem Dafoe. But no, I think this movie was sweet. And again, I don't check into anybody who's in these movies or anything before I watch them. So when Willem Dafoe popped up, I was like, is that a young Willem Dafoe
And
right
he's
there?
so good in this movie.
Dude, he is so good. And that girl,
You're beautiful.
that dude is a badass. He might have got his ass kicked a little bit, just a little bit, but he ended up coming back with his big ass homeboy, obviously. But I thought this movie was sweet. I thought the ending shook me because, like I said, I didn't expect. I can't remember what his name was. Richie. I did not expect to see a shotgun go to his face. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, I was just sitting there. I was like, yeah, he's gonna get him, and then bam, he's done in that locker room. And his partner's like, "What? No, you can't leave me like this."
I know.
It was an intense
out.
scene, dude. It was an intense scene, and I thought it was so sick.
Hell yeah.
This movie didn't land at the top of the list because I wanted Willem Dafoe to win. He was
I mean, he goes like a boss.
He does, but I mean, he's just such a dominating character and so not direct, but it's so threatening, everything he says to you. And like, he's obviously psycho. We talked about him burning his paintings, him doing like ballet, like or this stuff. This dude is I'm glad I watched this movie. This one's I'm gonna watch again because this was sweet. I do like the ending where what his partner became, Richie, walks in there, he's like, "You're mine now." You're mine. Like, he just says that. Yeah.
You're working for me now.
He even changes his voice a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's like so fucking.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I hated that.
I was like, who? This guy was like a kind of a loser, and then now he's like, I watched my partner die. You're mine. It was
He's
cool.
damaged, man.
Dude, it was a sweet movie. I'm glad this one was on the list because I'm probably gonna watch this shit again.
I got a sidebar question, Brandon. You can answer this and then give your take. So, at the end, when the FBI guy or whatever with the money around his belt, he got shot. Did he get shot by Johnny? Is that why Johnny was freaking out?
He got shot by his own guys because they were trying to shoot Richie and John.
Oh, right. Okay. No, because he's freaking out, and I thought he was saying that was like the first person he killed. But then, at the end of the movie, he's trying to be a hard ass. I'm like, I don't think he's killed anybody, dude.
No, I mean, he killed Willem Dafoe, kind of.
That's true. Well, that is true. Yes, he did kill him. But I don't know. I was confused when I watched it again because
Mhm.
I thought he shot him. But you're absolutely right. Those guys were hyping him.
he's just following Richie along on this fucking psychotic adventure, and Richie's robbing a guy, and then he sees the guy get shot in front of him, and he's like, I'm just trying to be a good cop, bro. What the fuck is going on? You know. But he got
That's
involved with
funny.
Richie, and then Richie ruined him and turned him into bad cop. Me and my brother, when we watched this not growing up, but like the first time I showed it to him when we were older, just the whole time we're going back and forth, going bad cop, good cop, bad cop, you know, because that it really is. This is the whole movie. It's riding the line between good cop, bad cop, and Richie is obviously off the rails. He has no one to keep him on those rails anymore because Jimmy died in like the first 20 minutes, and John is just kind of pathetic. So whatever Richie does, he's going to go along with, and then it kind of changes him to. I don't think he's going to be as successful as Richie being a bad cop. Let's just put it that way.
No.
If he unbuttons it one more time, maybe.
No, that chick's gonna take him for a ride, and he's gonna be in prison in no time or dead. Because I think there's an element of control coming from her. Like I think she controlled Richie a little bit.
She absolutely did. She had all the info.
She told him to go get that money. I think she knew full well that was an FBI agent, but she didn't tell him that shit.
No, for sure she did. When he's like, you knew who we sent. You sent us after who the Chinaman was, and
she's just like, well.
She's like, she doesn't ever say no, really.
She's
she
like,
just
I'm
says a
fine
couple
as hell.
times.
You'll listen to everything I say.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Take it away, Aaron.
I'm so fucking glad I rewatched this movie because I remember the first time I watched it, we were all in a chat together. I think Jason was there, Danny, and yourself, and at least 3/4 of us were drunk. I might have been drunk too. I don't remember, but I didn't really remember a lot of this movie. So rewatching it, I had a good time, and I like it way more now. It was my favorite movie of these 5, actually. And I have it like right below The Exorcist on my list with him. Well, I mean, I respect that, but I just really love The Exorcist. So
For sure.
I think it's a great film, though, and another one that everyone should watch. And that scene at the end where he does get blasted with the shotgun, it's definitely an oh fuck moment, and I had totally forgotten about it. So I was sitting there and I'm like, oh hell yeah, they're gonna get Defoe and shit, because again, I really didn't remember.
Nah, they got the hog, bro.
But, yeah,
Got the hog, dude.
Man, he got fucked up, dude. It was just fuck, it got me. But I love the way it's filmed. I love the grain to this one. I think the grime and the grain, the words you've been using are fucking dead on. And
this movie is cinematic heroin.
Yeah, it's fucking pretty addicting. I could see wanting to watch this one a couple more times, honestly, out of everything on the list. But yeah, I really liked it. And I want to thank you, Bont, because I remember you actually bought Jason and I a copy of this movie. So
So that's how it went down. I was ranting and raving about this movie, and you guys were, nah, this is not that. I was like, fuck you both. It's on sale right now, $20, and so I bought each of you one. The 3 of us watched it, and you guys are like, it was all right. And then we watched it for the 3 of us watched it for a second time together, but with the addition of Danny. So that's actually this is like your third time seeing it. So thanks for finally coming around. Then I don't have to choke slam you.
Hey man, when we're all in the chat and we're all talking, I miss so many pivotal things. So
it's all good.
So to rewatch it by myself this time and actually understand the full shit of what I'm in as the viewer, like,
well, I love this movie because the first time we were watching this movie, Danny fucking hates William Peterson in the beginning. He's like, "Who the fuck does this guy think he is? He's so cocky." Obviously, we were a little drinking, and then there's that scene where he's like walking through the warehouse with the Wang Chung, and he just is like, he's got this strut to him, and Danny was like, "Nah, I think I kind of like this guy actually." And then he saw his hawk, and then he fell in love.
It was love at
first hog.
Love at first hog sighting.
Hell yeah!
I just wasn't
All
expecting.
right, well,
it,
let's
all right?
move way more down the line. You surprise hog.
Oh yeah, surprise and delight.
Let's move farther down the line to 2011. Movie called Killer Joe. Cinematographer is Caleb Deschanel. He is the father of Zoe Deschanel and Emily Deschanel, if you didn't know that already.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Hell yeah,
cool.
he had a beautiful daughter.
This movie is written by Tracy Letts. It's actually based on a screenplay of a play that she had.
A play that actually made it off Broadway and everything.
Which is
That's
awesome.
crazy.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell, I think, throughout the movie with that, but it's
just
good
the way it starts, him banging on the trailer. I can totally see how that would be framed as a play.
Absolutely, I agree.
You know,
yeah. All right, Danny boy, I know you love this movie. I watched it immediately after you put your Letterboxd review in there because I was like, shit, I haven't seen it in a long time. No, I'd already seen it, but when you put yours in there, I was like, oh, he liked it. Oh man, I got to rewatch it real quick because I think Jason and I watched that movie like 10 years ago together. So take us away, Killer Joe. Oh,
Bye, Danny.
It's crazy to think that Killer Joe came out in 2011 because, like, watching it, I mean, it's crazy watching some of these movies and you don't think that these actors age because, like, it felt like a newer movie to me. And I'd never heard of it, but it being a based off a Broadway play, that's kind of crazy too. But yeah, I got redneck Departed vibes from this movie. Freaking the guy who plays the dad, Thomas Hayden Church. Oh my God, his character was making me laugh so damn hard, dude.
He was like one of the best people in that movie.
The dumbest guy, dude. Like absolutely just unbelievably dumb. Got this smoke show of a wife that's just banging his ex-wife's boyfriend, which I thought was just
Rex.
like that weird.
His name's Rex.
That weird triangle that was
relation.
going on. And then, ultimately, what's his name, Emile Hirsch or whatever, thinks to hire this crooked cop. And I thought McConaughey's, like, cop in this should have been the way he played the gunslinger in the Dark Tower movie. Well, first of all, that movie should have never been made. But
Man in Black.
I was getting that vibe watching this movie the whole time. I was like, dude, he's, like, giving me Roland or Man in Black vibes, I mean. He was so good in this, dude. He was just so menacing and like you couldn't tell if he was psychotic or like he just, was sick in the head, just wanted to get off. And I couldn't remember, did he know that the sister was a virgin? Is that why he wanted to be with her?
I don't know if that's why he wanted to be with her, but he knew.
I was going to say that could have
definitely
added
was
to
a
the
cherry on top when he found out.
Exactly. Could have added to the creep factor. That scene where they have their date was super uncomfortable. Like, oh my God, it was so creepy. But like, obviously that kind of tells so much about his character throughout the course of the movie. And then, it kind of played out not what I was anticipating. I think we'll all mention this, but I don't know if I could eat KFC the same again.
The K fry C.
That K fry C.
I do like that they said that. The way that that whole scene just plays out, like, dude, that's some top tier acting from McConaughey. And I really like Juno Temple in this movie, even though she's a little space case, or she might be
she died.
Special. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, her character couldn't really put a finger on it if she, was troubled, if she got, sexually assaulted when she was younger, or,
Didn't you hear her story that she remembered when she was 3? She was suffocated by her mom.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that one, but I thought there was a little bit more to it. But no, she was
depriving your brain of oxygen will do crazy things.
That's true.
Yeah, I think she's just like mentally locked into like a younger age, but she's
Right.
She's 20. Her character is 20.
Yeah, we had to make sure that when we watched it.
Yeah.
Good call.
Because I was like, what the hell's going on with McConaughey? Like,
well, I think that's why he liked her more, because she was more childlike. Like, he's a full-on creepy psycho in that movie, but he just happens to also be a cop,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I liked the ending of this movie a lot. Homeboy got some pumpkin pie. Everybody was happy, I felt like. So... I do like this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure.
And that's again with how the way the movie starts. I can picture the way this movie ends on the stage where he's like, where she says she's pregnant, and he goes, "Darling," and then just the curtains,
right?
Yeah,
that'd be. And then you don't get to see what happens. I'm like,
right?
Does she blast him? Does she blast everyone and get the hell out of there?
Yeah.
What does she do?
I feel like she blasts him because she moves her finger back to the trigger.
onto the trigger. Yeah.
All right, Rex. How did Killer Joe strike?
Excuse me. I hella like this movie. Like, and this was coming off the right off the tail of Sorcerer. So I was like,
Drastic difference.
I was a little, not feeling too hot at the moment about him, and I was like, Matthew McConaughey's in this. I was like, all right, cool. I like him. Emil Hirsch. I was like, that guy's always a good little shit. So I was like, all right, cool. So we put it on, and obviously this movie is so sweet. Dottie is a psycho in her own way, but like she's also, I think my belief is that McConaughey's character knows that she is someone easily controlled because she doesn't have that full capacity, but she's also not completely stupid.
Right.
She's pretty, because she comes
He
out. She's like, I hear
underestimates her
you
for sure.
Oh, everybody does, because she comes out and they're like, we gotta hide it from Dottie. She's like, I know you're planning to kill Mama.
Yeah.
How you gonna do it? You should do it like this. And it's like, dude, you just picked that up from a few like nuanced things that your brother and dad were doing. But either way, I think
They're also
McConaughey's character.
stupid as shit.
Oh
though.
yeah, the dad is one of the best characters in that movie because he's so dumb. Like he is so dumb. It's great.
Church rules.
I feel like
Dude.
they're all pretty dumb. I think all
They're all
of them.
dumb, but he's
fucking
like.
stupid.
Like the dude probably only knows how to work on a car, and that is the only thing he knows. Because the only thing you see him do, work on a car one time, watch
Drink
TV in monster trucks.
And
He
drink
giggles when a tire comes off. He goes, huh. I'm like, nothing funny happens. The tire just comes off. Anyways, and the end of the movie, the dialogue of McConaughey and how he's trying to lead them to this point he's making, but neither one of them, especially Ansel, cannot understand what the fuck is he saying. Like, he's speaking basically Greek to them. But his dialogue in that is so good. And, like, what he says to, I don't know her name, but Ansel's wife. That
Charlotte, I think.
Charlotte?
Maybe.
I think
No,
it's
it's like Charla. Yeah, it's Charla.
Charla. Yeah,
It's
Charlotte.
Charlotte,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Just call her Gina Bushman.
Gina. Yeah, Charla. So, yeah, Charla, it was just great. And, yeah, the Kentucky Fried Sea thing, the K Fried Sea thing, with that drumstick, there's not one time in my life I would have thought when I saw that chicken there that's how that chicken would go. I thought they were going to eat it, and she ate it. But
she ate
it was all
right.
great, and I really like McConaughey's character because to me, I didn't see him liking Dottie for being young, because she is 20, so she's above legal age. I don't know how old he was in this movie. I don't even know how old McConaughey is.
No, he's still like 18. He's too old for her. Okay, that's how old he is.
Look, man, she was consensual with it. She thought it was weird at first, but I think it was because she was lied to, and they tried to make her wear that dress when she wasn't ready. And her brother's, and the brother knows how to control Dottie, pretty much. So it was this weird setup, and she's forced into it. Either way, I think McConaughey's character was so top tier. That dude was so sick in that movie.
I'll slaughter all of you. The way he delivers that line is so sick.
Do you want
And,
me
like-
to wear your face?
Yeah,
That's
no,
a
this
fucking great
movie
line.
was really good. And after watching Sorcerer and then I watched this, I was like, oh fuck, dude, hell yeah, this is sick. So I was like, it's gotta get better from here.
Yeah, we went from Wim Wenders being all hopeful at most of the end of his movies to just nihilism and muck with Friedkin.
And another cop. I love that he was a cop because he just knew what to do, all this kind of shit. And yeah, and the brother, I couldn't stand that guy. I was so glad when he got his ass beat hella bad. He could barely walk. I was like, get him. I hate this guy.
He's just so fucked up at the end of that movie,
Dude, so messed up. It's sweet, man. But yeah, the ending was awesome with Dottie. I'm not sure, but I agree with Practical. I think she did shoot him. But then there's just this thing in my head that I'm like, Dottie's pretty easily controlled. She could probably be talked down. And if anybody was to do it, it would be McConaughey.
But again, I think all of that is in service to her greater goal. I don't think she is as easily talked into things. And she might have, went along with sleeping with Matthew McConaughey, but maybe that's just all part of the plan, I mean, how
Could
How
be.
touched is she really, you know?
That could be. She could be the mastermind of this whole thing. You
Yeah.
know, kind of pushing things in certain directions without.
And
Being
her family
obvious.
is, again, just really, really stupid.
Hey, I mean, she did remember being suffocated
Yeah,
at the age
yeah.
she said. Even McConaughey
That
was
is
like,
kind of alarming thinking about
yeah,
that.
but even McConaughey was like, dude, she might be crazier than I'll wear someone's face, but
Yeah,
I don't
So
that's
like
someone
being
need that
suffocated.
retainer, please.
Yeah, and he just calls her his retainer. Like, get fucked, dude.
I can't imagine what he'd
He's a
be like
bad
as a
man.
dad.
Oh,
That would be
crazy.
horrible.
That'd
Yeah.
be crazy.
yeah.
Dottie is your mom too, though.
Maybe.
That's weird.
See,
Yeah.
that's I mean, like that would be one crazy. That kid would grow up probably wearing people's faces.
Definitely. Okay, so Killer Joe and Dottie's kid grows up to be Matthew McConaughey in Texas Chainsaw Next New Generation. For sure.
I can see that for sure.
Full circle.
But I like this movie too. I thought this movie was sweet and just you know, if the theme of these 5 movies is grimy, this is about as grimy as it gets. The grimiest of the grime. But shot great. I went the whole knowing that it was a play, I go in watching it and I'm kind of trying to picture it on the stage the whole time, which was kind of an interesting way to watch it. And the dialogue's great. Just more masterful camera work and just a really enjoyable movie if you are into maybe a more lurid tale.
Yeah.
If you're into sick shit, ladies and gentlemen, if you're into sick shit.
Grimy shit.
Double
Crazy.
cross.
Holy moly!
I really enjoy this movie as well. I was stoked when you picked it. I didn't expect you to pick it, which is one of the funny things. I figured you might have picked. You mentioned Hunted. I actually did think you were going to pick Hunted.
Movie's sick.
It is, and when you picked Killer Joe, I was like, all right, cool. I haven't watched that in a long time, so when I rewatched it, I didn't even remember McConaughey being the way he was in that movie. I know he was like the villain basically, but like it's the way he plays the role. Like he's so fucking confident in his scummery. It's so yeah. And I Emil Hirsch, like you said, Rex, he always does play like a complete piece of shit really well. Like that's like his niche thing, because I guess he's kind of a shitty person in real life too, I guess. From what I've read,
So he's not acting.
one of those. He's still getting work because like his shit wasn't as severe. He's just like domestic abuse shit, but that's still scummy, you know. So
Oh no, I don't know, but that sucks for him because he's good at what he does, but
Yeah.
that might not be a good thing.
I like him a lot.
So-
Well, I mean, you know, and he's obviously got other movies like that he's not, but it's like
Yeah,
he doesn't always play the role well. But yeah, overall, I think Killer Joe is great though. I think it's fucking violent as hell, and you know, it's unsettling the whole time, like scene after scene, whether it's what you're seeing visually or like, you know, the tension is building for the situation. I do I love that exchange with the 2 bikers and the dude that he owes money to, you know, where they're talking casually and shit like that. And then he's like, I'm just going to have the boys kick the shit out of you a little bit, you know, but
Right.
I love when the other biker's like, he really likes you. Before
Right, yeah.
Oh, dude, he's like,
Why don't
He's
you
that.
come to the barbecue?
he's like, I'll tell my wife you said that. She gonna be really happy you thought about her.
Yeah.
I will have to go. I want to go back a little bit. I just had to pee. Sorry. But Emil Hirsch is kind of a piece of shit. He got in trouble for like assaulting a production assistant on the set of Into the Wild or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sexually, but
No, but
he's beating a woman up for a disagreement. You know,
Yeah.
That's like Mia Goth
That's not
kicking
cool.
that extra in the head.
bitch, she is too. Fuck.
For real. But yeah, I think overall Killer Joe was great, and I enjoyed this one, and I think it was a good cap off to the 5 movies. If I can talk a little bit about his impact and legacy, as we usually do for these guys, I think it's really felt with movies like French Connection, To Live and Die in L.A., and The Exorcist. And, you know, many people have borrowed techniques and shit from all 3 of those movies.
I mean, there's a new exorcism movie every year
Mhm.
now.
Exactly.
oh man,
And, you know, he's won a ton of awards like we talked about. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2023, but I think he'll be remembered for sure. He's got a lot of gems we didn't even talk about. So, if you liked these 5, if you happen to watch the movies we suggest, check out
The
his
Guardian. Go check out The Guardian. I wanted to pick that one, but that one is wild.
I bet.
Also,
yeah.
real quick, I forgot to mention, I love when he shows Emil Hirsch, his mom. He's like, "Hey man, I don't want you to do it. I thought about it. I can't." And he just walks silently, opens the trunk.
Yeah.
She's just, dude, it was
Does it ever
so
show Rex?
gnarly.
I can't remember. I don't
He
think
just-
it ever shows Rex, does it?
It shows him once. He pulls him over and
Yeah,
steals
you don't
the
see his
tech from
face.
him.
You only see the back of him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just in that one shot, really.
Yeah, when he pulls him out, or if you can get a glimpse at those pictures Charlotte has, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
Rex.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
saw a
his
glimpse of
dick.
one of those pictures, and I almost.
Was he Peterson or
That was
what?
another hog, yeah.
All right, gentlemen, closing thoughts on Mr. Friedkin.
It was freaking awesome, man. Now I want to watch some other ones, especially that Guardian. Now that I know that it's a trip. Yeah, these are all good
Druid
ones.
horror.
I mean, To Live and Die in LA is one that should be in a lot of people's like top 10 movies ever made. Like, it's just it's a really perfect picture, I think. And these other ones were good too. Maybe I gotta watch Cruising again and be a little bit more open minded, but him dressed up like Bruce Springsteen, I don't know how any guy's about to be jumping on that. So that was a little off putting for me. I don't understand that, but hey, to each their own, I guess. But yeah, man, I Friedkin enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
I liked all these,
No, you didn't.
except Sorcerer. But 4 out of 5 is pretty great. And I really like a lot of these movies, like To Live and Die in LA. I'll definitely, if my best friend hasn't seen that, we'll probably watch that.
Hell yeah.
Because he likes movies like that for sure. His dad loved all that type of stuff. But no, Live and Die in LA, Killer Joe, I'm definitely going to watch that one again. That movie's so sick. But yeah, I think this guy's awesome. I didn't know he died recently. That's sad.
He's old, man.
I mean, he's
Old
old,
dude,
but
yeah.
still sad because, these old time directors who were good at just depicting stuff like this and overall themes and tones, I
Yeah,
feel like they're getting less.
Like, it would be interesting. What would they do today?
I mean, 2023, I don't know when his last movie is, but
Well, I mean, in my little legacy impact here, like I think he's kind of passed the torch on a little bit. If you're not familiar with him, there's a guy named Nicholas Winding Refn who they've sat in interviews together, and Refn was jokingly referring to himself as like the young version of him, and I totally agree with him. Nicholas Winding Refn has like a very similar style. He's got a lot of neo-noir movies. He did that movie Drive with Ryan Gosling. And
that movie's so sick.
you see the Friedkin influence in a lot of Refn's movies. I'd say all of them. I mean, even in Valhalla Rising, which is a movie with almost no dialogue about Vikings. And so, yeah, I think there are still people to pass the torch to make these kinds of movies. And Friedkin is the master. He's going to be one of my favorite directors for a very long time. And I always go back and revisit a lot of his movies. And even though I started out with hating The Exorcist in my younger years, thought that movie was an overrated piece of shit, it has come around and is now like my 6th or 7th favorite Friedkin movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, obviously we didn't talk about The Exorcist because, who hasn't said what they need to say about that movie.
Yeah.
But it's a kick-ass movie. I love that movie. It's one of the few movies that the public loves so goddamn much that I agree with. It's like, it's just, and it's not even because it's scary. It's just the atmosphere and the way it's shot and like the progression of the film in general. I love it. I love that movie so goddamn much. But yeah. So what's next week? Isn't it?
Just watching Danny try to speak into his
I
mic while it's
fumbled.
muted.
I had it muted.
Hell yeah.
I fumbled on that. Sorry.
What you got?
What you got?
Oh no,
Dave?
I was just I was looking through some of the other movies that we could have gone over. Bug, do you remember that one with Ashley Judd?
Oh
I
yeah,
That's
haven't
pretty
seen
good.
Bug, but I saw it was on Amazon for pretty cheap. I might get it.
Rules of Engagement. with Tommy Lee Jones and Sam Jackson. Dude,
That's a
this
pretty
would have
good
been a
movie.
great one,
Yeah.
dude. Jade.
Oh, be like David Caruso in
Yeah.
Jade.
That would have been a great one. He
think
also
I've
did an
seen that
episode
one.
of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh yeah,
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yep.
But yeah, those are ones that would have been. Jade would have been great, dude. David Caruso. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie. Well, maybe I'll have to watch it now. Throw it in.
I know,
later.
right?
Beartooth, is that what's next week, Rex? Wasn't that your first band of the...
This is the director, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I can't wait. No, seriously, I can't wait because I really don't remember listening to them all that much.
Well, they got 5 albums, which is perfect. They only have 5 albums, so
Okay,
just cycle
They have
through
that
them.
many? Jesus, I didn't even realize.
excellent.
I looked it up right before we got into the recording, so...
I think I shared the playlist, but I can share it again. I put them all in order.
Oh, for sure.
Hell yeah.
I didn't know if I
Appreciate
should
that.
use that get prepped one, so I didn't want to impede on it and delete out like all the 9 Inch Nails shit. So I just did that.
No, apparently that caused issues for. Yeah, but all right, I'll take a look.
Absolutely. So catch us next week for Beartooth. This is your host, Practical.
Daniel boy.
Rex.
And this is Brandon. Have a great night.
Hell yeah.
It's always like you're tucking us in when you sing it.
It is like a. I hope they listen to this stuff at night.
Would you
and,
like some
go to
water?
sleep
Yeah,
right
okay,
as
so
Brandon
you have a
says
great
that.
night.
Little tuck in, fluff your pillow, maybe.
Fluff my pillow,
I
huh?
just want to listen to have a good night, you know?
You want to watch Cruising again or what?
We'll catch you next week.
Bye. Fluff my pillow.
Get that Pacino chili cruise. Hell yeah.
That's
That is one of the greatest reviews I've ever